What's going on, everybody? This is Jose Betancourt, and as always, thank you for watching my videos. Alright, so, if you've watched my videos before, I usually call myself JVB. Now, I've had that persona for about 10 plus years. I started out on the original Xbox as JVB, and I still have one of the only accounts outside of an employee of Microsoft who has such a gamer tag with only 3 letters. I find it, somewhat of an honor that they've honored that, and they didn't tell me to change it. Now on Xbox Live, that is my gamer tag, as I just stated, Doy. So if you want to add me, please feel free to add me. So that is going to remain. I'm not going to change that. But on my Twitter account, last night, as a matter of fact, I deleted that Twitter account. Now, I had nearly 3,000 followers. I had like 70,000 tweets, which is freaking incredibly ridiculous to tweet that damn much. But I joined Twitter like the first week it came out. Actually, a few days after it was released to the public. So I've been on Twitter a very long time. It took a lot of work to build that amount of followers. And yesterday, I decided to just cut it off. Now, it wasn't something that I was thinking about. Well, actually, it was something I was thinking about for quite some time. I kind of got bored with seeing the same fanboy crap, basically. There was a lot of people self-promoting themselves, and more each day, the fanboy arguments went from being funny and amusing to being quite repetitive and annoying. And then sometimes I would find myself joining these fanboy wars and joining the more idiotic ones where I myself was looking like an idiot. And so yesterday I was looking at my timeline. I just took a step back and I was like, you know what? I'm really not being productive here. And some of the people that I used to be friends with and I used to follow, we no longer talk. We no longer follow each other, podcasts together or nothing. So as much good as I had on my Twitter, there was just as equally amount. There was an equal amount of bad with my Twitter. So I decided to just cut it off and start all over again. Now, I once told somebody that at the end of the day, it's all about the brand. And when it comes to me as an individual, I am the brand. Yeah, I might sound like Triple H, saying I'm the game, but I'm the brand. I am the individual who puts everything together on my YouTube channel, on my podcast. It was a team effort at talkingaboutgames.com, put that together, to put that community together, and quite frankly, to break that community apart. On the website itself, talkingaboutgames.com, we had a very active forum. It was one of the rare independent websites that had such an active forum, and I took it upon myself to make sure it was like that. I was the quote-unquote community manager as well as one of the founders and partners. And so suddenly that all went down the drain. Quite frankly, with the introduction of Twitter and Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, news traveled so fast in those mediums, in the social networks, that the need to go to a forum and talk about this news was eliminated instantly. It was no longer relevant. Websites suffered because of it. You can get everything: entertainment news, sports news, sad news. You can jump around with your friends in 140 characters. You got everything you needed throughout the day. And that eliminated the need to have a website dedicated to video games. So the struggle for a lot of people came when Twitter and Facebook became a thing. And that's just how it is. Look at ESPN, they have a Twitter account and they're putting late breaking news. When Michael Jackson passed away, I found out on Twitter before I saw it on TV. It's unbelievable, the information you're going to get on social networks. Today's times. News travels fast. The times move so fast. You see it in electronics, even our video game consoles, our phones, everything. Things just travel. The time, period. Time travels so fast. It's a busy world. People want their information on the spot as quickly as possible. And with a basic old school website and forums, you're fighting an uphill battle. Unless you have something like an IGN that's been established and has the resources to get insider information and get content way before anybody else, those websites are far and few in between. So the ones that do have that privilege, they're the ones with the active forums or the comment sections. They're the ones with the big traffic. So a lot of us who were podcasting, doing YouTube videos, we had to depend on something else. And for me, Twitter was the way to reach our audience, being the Post Game Report and the TalkingAboutGames.com readers. And after a few years, 7 years or something like that since Twitter's been around, I let it become the focal point of how we communicated with our people. So what I'm going to do is from now on, I'll post my links on my new Twitter account, and that is at JVBeta. As a matter of fact, let me check. I just created it, and I actually got a few followers now. So I went from just under 3,000 followers to having 36 followers as we speak. So I'm starting from scratch, and I'm the type that when I get bored, I just cut things off. That's just how I am. I challenge myself to start fresh, to rebrand myself, and to test out just how good I think I am. You know, of course, I'm a podcast host for nearly 10 years, so I think I'm the best. But so does every other freaking podcast host. Or content creator for that fact. So, let me see. My new Twitter account is Jose V Beta. That is BETA. So that is at Jose V, like Victor, Beta, BETA. So, if you want to hit me up there. I'll follow you back. But if you want to know what content I'm going to create, if I put a new episode of the Post Game Report, which is going to see some changes on its own. I'm also thinking of doing something different, a whole new show. And of course, my YouTube, I'm going to take YouTube a little more serious. So that account, that new Twitter account, is going to be where I link my YouTube videos, so that when I do build an audience, they can find me there. They can be updated. Hopefully subscribe to my YouTube, and the need to find me on Twitter is eliminated. The whole thing is to eventually get to that place. So it is it is a new challenge. I'm pretty excited. I'm not as young as I used to be, obviously, because it's nearly 10 years that I've been podcasting. So I don't know if I'm going to have enough time to really build a new brand, but I'm gonna go for it. I can't be complacent. I can't be routine. Once that happens, I gotta cut things out. That's just me. I've always been that way. Whether it was jobs, whether it was cars, whatever. I mean, technology. I've always been that way. I have to challenge myself. I have to try something new. I have to see just how far I can go in a totally different direction. And that is why I think I'm so damn good. I can talk about electronics, I can talk about video games, I can talk about life. Doesn't matter. I enjoy creating content. As a matter of fact, I love creating content. I love creating things, period. That is why I'm in the elevator industry, because I used to build elevators in construction. Now we troubleshoot, and I love doing that. So I love creating content. I love talking to people, and I love talking with people. So whether I'm talking solo as I am now to an audience, or I have the guys with me when we do the post-game report. But as I stated, with the post-game report podcast, which you can find on iTunes right now, we're gonna change some things around. We're gonna stray away from being a pure video game podcast, and we're just gonna do what we do best, and that's talk with each other, joke around, talk about life. We're all adults. We're all in our 30s. We all have responsibilities that, when compared to video games, there's no comparison. Our real life just dominates video games. And at this point in our lives, we have more fun catching up. And a lot of people seem to enjoy that. So I'll use this YouTube channel to talk about some video games and talk about technology. It seems to be where on this YouTube channel, whenever I talk tech or do a review on a new gadget that I bought, it seems to generate way more activity than my video game stuff. So I'm starting to see that trend, and I'm starting to adjust to that. And I obviously, if you follow my channel, you'll notice that I love technology as well, and I love to share my experience with that technology. But I also love video games, so I'm sharing both of what I love on my YouTube channel. Eventually, maybe I'll just create a totally separate YouTube channel to where I can keep this one strictly electronics, and then have my video game podcast on another YouTube channel. If that happens, of course, I will make an announcement on this channel and my Twitter, which once again is Jose V Beta. So it's essentially JVB, but Twitter is kind of crazy, and even though I was surprised how many different iterations of JVB there is. It's pretty crazy. But speaking about technology and everything, I did buy the Apple Watch, and I also just made a video with, giving a brief impressions of the new Pebble Time smartwatch, which at the moment is $200. Of course, the Apple Watch is a lot more expensive, $200 more actually. And you can tell instantly, as soon as you pick up both, you can tell that there's a premium when compared to the other. Now, that doesn't mean that one watch is better than the other. Eventually, hopefully sometime today, I'll do a comparison between both. And then as I'm doing that, I'm going to determine which one I'm going to keep. Because I have an iPhone 6 Plus, there's a slight advantage to the Apple Watch, obviously, because Apple has made it so that it is totally uncompatible, with anything other than an iPhone 5S, I believe is the starting point, as low as you can go as far as iPhone models. Whereas the Pebble Time, I can get notifications on my iPhone 6 Plus. I just can't utilize that new microphone that is integrated and the touchscreen on the Apple Watch. I believe it's like 220 DPI or something crazy like that. It's a Retina display, which is pretty crazy on such a small device. But I'm so used to a touch device, a watch with my Gear 2 Neo, which I had and I really enjoyed. That was a touch watch. When I had the first Pebble, you had to use the buttons. Same thing with the Pebble Time. You have buttons on the sides, and you have to operate your not phone, but your watch that way. Where with the Apple Watch, you can use it via touch, or you can use the crown to navigate. So there's just a difference in, obviously, price. They're divided. If you go with the 38 millimeter model sport watch for Apple's new watch, you're going to spend $350. So you're going to spend $150 more than you would with the Pebble Time. But the Pebble Time is a really nice watch. But anyway, that's enough of me yapping. Thank you once again. I'll be talking to you soon.